Good afternoon, everyone. Today, what we're going to go over is Roth IRAs and traditional IRAs, with a focus today being on what both of these accounts are, kind of how you use them, and some of the ins and outs around Roth IRAs and traditional IRAs. We have another video on pre-tax and post-tax contributions and what makes more sense in different periods of your life on how to contribute those and how to schedule your contributions into those as far as planning around when you have a higher tax bracket or lower tax bracket, when to add to Roth, when to add to traditional IRAs or pre-tax accounts like a 401k. Today, we're getting more into, again, just what these accounts are. So if you are interested in the Roth or pre-tax on when to contribute, please go to our other video and check that out. But getting into this, we'll start off with traditional IRAs. So traditional IRAs are investment accounts that you can put money into specifically for retirement, and they grow tax deferred. So what a traditional IRA is opposed to like a bank account. You don't just put money in here, keep it in cash. You put money in a traditional IRA with the intent of investing it for the long term or for retirement. Now, where traditional IRAs are going to differ from Roth IRAs is the way that they are treated from a tax standpoint. So anything you put into a traditional IRA is going to lower your taxable burden in the year that you contribute to the IRA. So if we look at this example, if someone were to make $100,000, they contribute $5,000 to a traditional IRA. Well, their taxable income for that year will be $95,000, because that $5,000 contribution goes into the traditional IRA pre-tax, gets removed from the tax burden that year, and then grows tax deferred. Now, growing tax deferred means that that 5,000 will be taxed at some point, and that 5,000, as it grows, all of the growth on it will be taxed. So let's say it hypothetically grows to $100,000. Well, when you start to pull that money out in retirement, all of that $100,000 will be taxed because you put it in pre-tax originally at that first 5,000. Now, if we look at kind of the traditional IRA's counterpart, the Roth IRA, again, is an investment account designed specifically for retirement. There are a few other uses, but really it's retirement's going to be the focus. Where a Roth IRA differs is the money you contribute to it goes in after tax or post tax. So it does not give you a tax benefit in the year that you make the investment. So if we look at the same situation, you're making $100,000 of income, you make a $5,000 contribution to the Roth IRA, well, your taxable income is still going to be $100,000 that year. Now, the kicker with the Roth IRA is, and the nice thing is that $5,000 goes in after tax. So you've already paid taxes on that 5,000, but the growth is going to be tax free. So if that 5,000, again, let's say it grows to $100,000, well, that $100,000, 95,000 of it is never going to be subject to taxes, because that 5,000 was subject to taxes. So when you take distributions from that Roth IRA in retirement, that is tax-free income to you. It doesn't increase your tax bracket. You don't have to pay taxes on it because you paid taxes on that original $5,000 contribution. So that's the kind of benefit there, since it does not give you the tax benefit in the year you make the contribution. Now, some similarities between the two accounts. Both IRAs and Roth IRAs have annual contribution limits. So these are limits the IRS sets on an annual basis. They usually adjust with like a cost of living. So the 6,500 and 7,500 are 2023 limits. So 6,500 is the base limit. 7,500 is if you are over 50, you get a $1,000 catch-up contribution, where you can put in a little bit more. But both of those are the same for both IRAs. There's no age limitations on the contributions, so you do have to have earned income in order to contribute to an IRA or a Roth IRA. But you can be any age. and still contribute. Even if you're a minor and have earned income, you can open up a minor IRAs or contribute to Roth IRAs as well. There's also a income limitation on this. So there's no age limitations, but there is income limitations. So if you make over a certain amount or you make over a certain amount and you have access to like a 401k or a 403b, you might not be eligible to contribute to IRAs or Roth IRAs. So just keep that in mind. You do have flexible investment options, and there's a couple of things between flexible investment options and it not being linked to an employer plan I really want to talk about. So with an IRA or a Roth IRA, they are individual retirement accounts, so they are not linked to employer plans. And this is where I want to get to that flexible investment option. So if you are unfamiliar with an IRA or a Roth IRA, or you've never done any of your own investing and your only experience with investing is through a 401k or a 403b plan, what you are familiar with is a payroll kind of contribution process, which means before you ever get your paycheck, your employer pulls out your 401k contribution. It goes into your 401k and it gets invested. And that is a very easy process. It is very little legwork. You don't have to manually invest the funds yourself. All of it is fairly automated. All you really have to do is either tell your HR the percent that you want to save or go into your online portal and say the percent you want to save, but it auto gets invested. Now, there's a set limit of options within a 401k plan. Like you might only have a few target date funds and maybe 10 to 15 other mutual fund options. With an IRA or a Roth IRA, that is not the case because you can do stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, real estate in some cases. I mean, there is almost an endless amount of possibilities that you could of how you could invest that IRA or Roth IRA. Now, the difference is you have to create that yourself. So you have to go to, say, a Charles Schwab or TD Ameritrade, an E-Trade, a Fidelity, and open up a Roth IRA or an IRA yourself. Or you can work with an advisor and have them open it for you and kind of work with someone on that. If you're doing it yourself, you put a contribution in. So, like, you link a bank account and you move money into the account. Well, just because it's in the IRA or the Roth IRA does not mean it's automatically invested. It will just be in cash in that account. It will not grow to anything. It will not move. It'll just be in cash. So you need to make sure if you open one of these on your own and you are new to it, make sure you are actually investing the funds. And then two, with the flexible investment options means that there are very risky investments, there are very conservative investments, and they range all the way across the board. So if it's something that you are uncomfortable with doing it yourself or just unfamiliar with, please reach out to an advisor, use a robo advisor, just seek some advice because it can be quite a steep learning curve on the introduction process. Doesn't mean you have to always work with an advisor if you don't want to, but it just means getting some help right off the bat, getting everything set up so you can kind of know where you're going. As far as some key differences, I mean, obviously the tax treatment is different between Roth IRAs and traditional IRAs. Another one of the key differences is what are called required minimum distributions. So, with required minimum distributions, it is a set amount that you need to take out of the account at a particular age. So, for Roth IRAs, there are not any required minimum distributions. With traditional IRAs, there are, as of right now, starting at 72. So, what these are designed to do and why they're not in Roth IRAs is they're designed to essentially force you to pay taxes on your assets. So, with a Roth IRA, since everything goes in after tax and it grows tax free, there's not a need for you to have to take something out because it wouldn't be taxable anyways. With the traditional IRA, what that required minimum distribution really does is it forces you to have to start paying taxes on that, like on the assets in that account, since they've been deferred for a probably significant amount of time. The IRS just requires you to start taking a little bit out, and it's based on a percentage, and they kind of calculate it every year and let you know But it's 72. You have to start taking a little bit out of that account every year and pay taxes on it. One of the kind of really big differences as well is the withdrawal rules. So with traditional IRAs, it's fairly straightforward. If you take any money out between or before 59 and a half, there's a 10% penalty on top of the taxes you pay, which that's a good point. I mean, both of these accounts you have full access to. They're just account types. So you can take money or put money in, take money out whenever you want. It's just since they do have tax benefits and are geared towards retirement, there is a penalty if you do it early. Like if you take money out of the IRA before 59 and a half, it's penalized by 10%. So it's not something that you're completely locked into, but just know that there are penalties for taking money out early. With a Roth IRA, there's a couple different rules, but the gist of it is it needs to be in the account for at least 5 years or 59 and a half. So it's 5 years from the first contribution or 59 and a half to be kind of tax-free, penalty-free. And there's a couple different rules as to what could qualify, what couldn't qualify for that for certain types of distributions that could be met. In all reality, and I'd say about 95% of the cases, most people just wait till after 59 and a half to pull from that Roth IRA in order to just make sure they're not being penalized. And also just because it's geared for retirement. And really the Roth IRA, the longer you keep it in there, the better that benefit is of tax-free growth. So with that, these are not accounts where your money is truly locked up and you can't access it. But it is important to know that there will be penalties if you do take them or take funds from these accounts early. Going to this final page, this is just a Venn diagram kind of summing up some other information. One thing I do want to note with anything like this, or you might see online, with the contribution limits, with some of the rules, I mean, all of these are subject to tax law changes. So, like with the 6,000, 7,000, that's a 2022 limit. 2023 increased them. Having required minimum distributions at 72 is a newer required minimum distribution age. If you look here, April 1st of 70 and a half was the old required minimum distribution age. And right now there is, I believe, the Secure Act 2.0 is in the Senate currently, and it could possibly change the required minimum distribution age again. So whenever you're looking at information like this, the basis of these accounts are primarily going to stay the same, but just keep in mind that all of the little differences between these two can change. They can change year to year. In a lot of cases, they have changed year to year. So just make sure you're keeping on top of it, or if you're working with an advisor, make sure to ask questions about any potential changes for planning purposes for the upcoming year. But we appreciate you watching these. Please check out our other videos and reach out to us if you have any questions. Thanks.